So good afternoon, all of you. Ramya and Pawan. Let's get started with yesterday class. What we are discussing about. In last class, we are discussing about JSON. Okay. So why this JSON is going to be using for? JSON is JavaScript object notation, which is going to be using for store and export data between client and server. Store and export data between client and server. That is what actually JSON is. And JSON is not a programming. JSON is a simple textual format, and which is going to be having two in formats. One is the JSON object, one is the JSON array. Okay, let me open the folder. Our today folder is this one, 7x9. Come to the notes. What we are trying to analyzing in the last class. Let me go to the file. See, there are two things in JSON. JSON is basically JavaScript object notation and a lightweight text interchangeable format. And it is an open source text format. It is not a programming language, just a textual format. And JSON language is independent. Language independent, what is the meaning of language independent? It can be work for any kind of language like C, C++, C#, Java, JavaScript, Python, Node.js, Ruby, PHP, any kind of programming, it will be worked out. So that is the reason we call it as language independent. And one more, platform independent. It means it can be understandable for any platform like Mac operating system, Windows, and Linux, anything. And coming to the formats of the JSON, there are two formats. One is the JSON object, one is the JSON array. And how an object will be, object is going to be starts with the curly braces, ends with the curly braces. And one more point, object is a collection of key value pairs. And object key must be a string.
Voice is not audible.
Voice is not audible. Voice is not audible, right? Can you please reconnect Pavan? Ramya, am I audible to you?
Sorry, it was from my side.
Okay, fine. This is collection of key value pairs, and object key must be a string. Compulsory key string type. It could be double quotes, only double quotes. And object value can be any kind of data. Value, it may be an integer, a float, a string, a null, object, an array, undefined, any kind of thing it can be. But key must be string. Remember the point, key must be string. And one more thing, object and key. Object, key and value separated with the colon symbol, and each and every key value pair separated with the comma symbol. An object last key value pair, do not give comma. Don't give comma for the last key value pair. And one important simple object I'm just giving here, an employee object. This is an employee object which is started with the curly braces and closed with the curly braces. At the same time, you can observe here the key is employee name. Here the key is employee name, that is enclosed with double quotes. And one more key is employee salary, that is also enclosed with double quotes. And one more is employee location, that is also within the double quotes. Every string in JSON could be enclosed with double quotes, but in JavaScript, you can give a single quotes also. But in JSON, compulsory we have to provide a double quotes for every string. Wherever you are taking a string, key or value, wherever you are taking a string, compulsory double quotes. So that could be important. And where you can able to validate the JSON can be validated in the JSONlinted.com. You have to go for the website called JSONlinted.com. There you can able to check your JSON is a valid JSON or not valid JSON. And one complex JSON also yesterday we written, something like employees. Employees is going to be having a value as array. And inside array, maybe we will be having object as a value. Now this is the value and this is the value. Two values I got taken as objects. Now come to the JSON array. JSON array is collection of values. There are multiple values you can take, but value can be any kind of data. I already told you, value can be any kind of data. Value can be an integer, float, string, array, object, null, true, false, any kind of data value is. Array starts with square braces, ends with the square braces. And array values are separated with comma symbol. And one more thing, last value in array do not have comma. And one more thing, in JSON array, when we find a string, we should provide a double quotes only. In JSON object also, can we write this point for object also? Yeah, we can write this point for object also. Let me write the same point for object also. In JSON object, when we find a string, we should provide double quotes only. We should provide double quotes, definitely. Okay. So then come to the point. Today we are going to be discussing two important points, two important things. Let me go diagrammatically. I'm going to be explaining about it. Okay. So we will be having a JavaScript here in the client side. For example, I'll be having a JavaScript in the client side. This is my client web page where we are going to be working on programming called JavaScript. JavaScript is browser interpreted programming, and JavaScript have two collection types, JS object and JS array. JavaScript have only two collection types, two structures. One is JS object, one is a JS array. JS means JavaScript, JavaScript object, JavaScript array. So when we have JavaScript object and JavaScript array, but client server cannot understand JavaScript directly. Suppose this is the server side programming. In server side programming, we may have something like Python, Django. Okay, so Python, Django. When we want to connect from JavaScript to Python, when we want to connect from JavaScript to Python, one API need to be required. I need to send a request to a client system to server system. Whenever you are going to be sending a request from client system to server system, through API call, we need to connect. Through API call, we need to connect. And here we need to generate a request. And here we need to generate a request. Request API. And response. When this request is passed, maybe the server is going to be responding. Either it is a successful response or failure response, whatever it may be. Either it is a successful response or failure response. Response definitely come from server system to client system. That is also in the form of API. Okay. So here you need to try to understand one important point. This API can hold the data in the form of JSON. This API can hold the data in the form of JSON, even in the request or response. This JSON format is a glue point, a mediator between the client system and server system. See, Python and JavaScript directly cannot able to communicate. JavaScript is available in the client side, Python is available in the server side, right? JavaScript is available in the client side. And Python, Django is the server side. But client side programming and server side programming directly cannot able to communicate. Client side programming JavaScript, server side programming Python cannot able to communicate directly. Okay, you need to give a request to the Python Django or Python. When you are going to be sending a request to the Python, definitely direct communication is not available. One mediator should be available, one glue point should be available, one clone should be available. That clone or that mediator, that glue point is the JSON format. You have to send a API request or you need to take a API response in the form of JSON. JS, whatever the JavaScript object we have, that JavaScript object, first of all, we need to convert into the JSON object. Suppose we will be having a JS array here. Let me take another picture here.
Both JS object and JS array can go to server side or
Yes.
only object?
Yes, as JavaScript, as JSON object, as JSON array. Okay, now tell me one more point.
JSON array, JSON object.
One simple thing.
Only both can.
Wait. One simple thing I will take. I am taking two collections here. One is a JavaScript object, one is a JavaScript array. So imagine this is the client, okay? This is JS object. And the bottom box is JS array. Okay. Is it clear? This is the JS object. This is the JS array. First of all, whatever the JavaScript object we have, that JavaScript object need to convert it to JSON object in the form of JSON. First of all, whatever the JavaScript object we have, that should be converting into the JSON object. And whatever the JS array you have, for example, you are going to be sending request as an array, collection of values. When you are going to be sending this JavaScript object, JavaScript array need to convert into JSON array here. First of all, the format, the programming format need to convert it to JSON format. Got my point? Sorry, JSON. So we already know about JSON object. We already know about JSON array, right? So this JSON object or JSON array in the form of API, maybe this is the API, this API format. For example, this is the API format. Okay. In this API, we have the JSON object or we have JSON array. Then this JSON object or JSON array only understandable by the server side. Only understandable by the server side. Got my point? So this is basically, first of all, JS object need to convert as JSON object. JS array need to convert to JSON array. Then only you can able to send this API to the server side. Got my point? Still confusing, huh? Whatever the JavaScript object we have, there are two structures, sir. Two collections in JavaScript, sir. One is the JS object, one is the JS array. First of all, you have to take a JS object. That JS object we need to convert into JSON object. Then only server can able to understand your API. Otherwise, server cannot able to understand your API. Server directly not able to understand JavaScript. Server can able to understand only form of JSON. That is the reason JavaScript converted to JSON. Okay, let me write a point here. You have JSON. JS converted to JSON. Then you can able to send it to Python. This JSON is in the form of API. This is the form. Okay, when you come to reverse, for example, I am reversing. Reversing means some JSON response is going to be coming from the server side. That is also in the form of JSON. Now this time it is response. From Python, response is coming. When response is coming from Python, that is also in the form of JSON API. That JSON API can able to understand by the JS. When the data came into the JS, then I can able to send this data to HTML. Understand? Then I can able to understand this data to what I can say here. Either symbol. Give a symbol like this. This can be showing in the HTML. Whatever the data you got, that data you can able to show in the form of HTML. Response I'm talking about. For example, in Amazon, you are actually watching a lot of images. For example, I'm telling in Amazon application, you are actually seeing a lot of images, a lot of products. When you search for iPhone, in Amazon, when you search for iPhone, iPhone search, what is going to be happening? A lot of products you can able to see, a lot of products and images you can able to see, right? As in the form of images and text. See how this image and text is going to be showing on top of the page, Amazon page, with IMG tag. So product description is going to be working with the P tag. Product heading is going to be showing with H3 or H4 tag. Am I right or wrong? And these particular tags are going to be having the data. Data is the dynamic data. And this data is going to be binding from JavaScript. But this JavaScript is getting the data from JSON. Who is giving JSON data? Who is giving this data? Who is giving, sir? API. Who is giving APIs? Servers.
Server.
Who is giving data to server? Who is giving data to server? DB. Database. Database is going to be processing the data or giving the data to server. Server is processing through the API and data is going to be coming with a response as JSON. But that response I could not able to display directly on top of the HTML. HTML can able to understand only JavaScript. HTML can able to understand only JavaScript. That is the why reason I need to convert JSON to JS first. Okay, this is called actually parsing. This is actually called parsing. So when you are sending the request, first of all, JS need to convert to JSON. This is basically sending process. We need to use a method called stringify. We need to use a method called stringify. But when you are coming back means response. Whatever the JSON data we have, that JSON data need to convert it to JS. That is called parse. We have two important JavaScript methods we need to remember. We have to understand two important JavaScript methods. The first JavaScript method is JSON.stringify. The another JavaScript method is JSON.parse. Now tell me, what is the importance of stringify method? Now tell me, what is the importance of stringify method? Very simple, straightforward. JS converting to JSON. JS object converting to JSON object. JS array converting to JSON array. What is the importance of the parse method?
It is converting
JSON converting to JS object. JSON object converting to JS object. JSON array converting to JS array. Then only I can able to show my HTML content. So parsing means pulling, sir. Stringify means pushing. Pushing means you are pushing something from UI to server. That is what actually called pushing. Pulling means you are pulling data from server to client page or web page. Pulling means parsing. Pushing means stringifying. Got my point? Pull means taking. You're taking the data. You're taking the response. Taking the response by the parse method. Sending data to server is stringify. Stringify is requesting. Parse is a response. Okay. Got my point? Still questions, huh? See what is happening here. So JS object to JSON object. Okay. This is sending. Sorry. This is something like sending. My God. This is sending. This is sending. This is sending, and this is receiving. This is sending. This is receiving, and again, in form of array also, sending or receiving. Sending or receiving. Both are communicating. Your JavaScript and JSON both are communicating. How this JavaScript and JSON communicating with? Through a methods. What are the methods? One is stringify, one is parse. Got my point? Still questions, huh? Let me tell you one simple program, then you can understand how the things are happening with. Now control N. Imagine, sir, this is JavaScript. Okay. This is JavaScript. I want to send JavaScript to Python. I want to send some data to Python. If you want to send this data to Python, first of all, whatever the JS object you have, whatever the JS array you have, you need to convert it to what? Tell me. You need to convert this JS object, JS array to what kind of formats? You need to convert it to what kind of formats? JSON object and JSON object and JSON. So you have same structure. In JavaScript also you have an object structure. In JavaScript also you have an array structure. But that structure need to convert into JSON structure. Got my point? Then only server can able to understand. So now this is going to be sending as an API. Now this JSON object or JSON array can able to understand by Python. This is Python server. This is Python server side. Django. This is Python server side. Python server side. Okay, so how this is going to be sending? Through the form of API. API call. API call contains only JSON data. Remember, API call can able to contain only JSON data. Remember. Now I'm not drawing this line from JS. Where I'm drawing the line here. Where I'm drawing the line here. The straight line I'm drawing here. Where I started my straight line here. Tell me. Where I started my straight line? From JS or from JSON? Sir, please speak out. Anyone? Where I started my straight line? Kaushik, Pawan, Ritesh, Ruchvik. Where I started my straight line, sir? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Where I started my straight line?
From JSON.
From JSON.
From JSON.
Why not from JS?
Sir, because JS cannot be sent to server. It goes in the form of JSON.
JS and Python cannot able to communicate directly. Both are two programming languages. This is client-side programming. That is server-side programming. Both programming languages cannot able to communicate directly. What is the communicator here? The communicator is a form of JSON. So you have the same kind of object, same kind of array in JS also. Sir, you can tell something. In JS also we have an object. In JS also we have an array. But that object, that array, I cannot able to send directly to Python. If you want to send to Python, you need to take an API. But the API in the form of JSON only. That is the reason what my requirement is. My requirement is very simple requirement. You have to convert your JS object to JSON. Please change your form. Change your form from JS to JSON. When only you change the form from JS to JSON, then only I can able to give a request. I can able to send a request. Yes, request is going to be sending to server. Then only request is going to be sending to server. Okay, now response coming back. When you are getting response from server to client, now again server sending a response back in the form of JSON only. Again, response is going to be coming in the form of JSON only. But again, this API holding with the JSON data, and that JSON data directly cannot able to connect as JS. Whatever the JSON we have, that JSON again need to convert to JavaScript. Why JavaScript? JavaScript always communicating with HTML, right? JavaScript is always communicating with HTML. HTML is what actually your user interface. On HTML only, I need to show the data. I need to show my results. All Amazon products, all Amazon images are going to be showing as HTML, but that HTML contains the data in the form of JS. But JS getting data from where? JavaScript getting data from where, sir? Tell me where JavaScript is getting data from. Anybody? See, today class is very, very important. Where this JavaScript is getting data from? JavaScript is client-side programming, right? JavaScript is client-side programming, which is always communicating with HTML. But where this JavaScript is getting the dynamic data, please tell me. JavaScript is getting the data from Python, but which in the form of what?
Yes.
JSON. Here the important, the major role. Who is the hero here? Between the client and server, who is the hero?
JSON.
Here JSON is the hero. JSON is the glue point. JSON is the communicator. Without communicator, you can't able to communicate from JS to Python, Python to JS, or JS to Java, Java to JS, or JS to .NET, .NET to JS, or JS to PHP, PHP to JS, or JS to Node.js, Node.js to JS. See, the communicator is important. The communicator form is JSON. The communicator form is JSON. It is a bubble basically. That bubble kind of thing only. This is a kind of petrol. The kind of the petrol how your bike is going to be running with. Is it clear? Now, let me go and explain the program. Then only you can understand how the things are going to be happening with. Now, tell me about the two methods. One is the JSON.stringify. What about the stringify method? Stringify. Yeah. Small letters. JSON capital letters. Stringify small letters. JavaScript is case sensitive. What is the meaning of case sensitive, guys? What is the meaning of case sensitive? Capital is capital, smaller is smaller. See, wherever capital letter is required, there capital letter we need to provide. Wherever the small letter required, there we need to provide the small letter. So here this method is having capital letters in the JSON and small letter in the .stringify. Then this is the function. And what is this function can do? This is a JS predefined function which is using for tell me why. This is a JS predefined function which is using for what? Convert JavaScript object or array to JSON object or. So you have JavaScript object, you have JavaScript array, but if you want to convert your JavaScript object or array to JSON, then only stringify method needed. So now, can I have this JS object can convert to JSON object? How this is possible? How this is possible with JSON dot stringify? The method is what? This is possible or not? Now I have a JS array. I have JS arrays. Can I convert this JS array to JSON array? JS array to JSON array. Is this possible? How this is possible again? From
function.
From stringify function. From stringify function only. From stringify function only. Try to understand. This is very simple. Try to understand. This is very simple. Whenever you have JavaScript object, need to convert to JSON object, stringify method needed. And whenever you have JS array, need to convert to JSON array, stringify method needed. So let's go for the one more method. What is the one more method? JSON dot parse method. Now tell me about this method. Now tell me about this method. This is a JS method
Convert Python
or JS function, JS predefined function.
JavaScript.
Exactly the same answer I expected. Which this is a JS predefined function which is using for convert JSON object or array to JavaScript object or array. That's it. Object or array. That's it. Okay, now tell me how this is going to be working with. You have a JSON, you have a JSON object. JSON object need to convert to JavaScript object. JSON object need to convert it to JavaScript object. Then what I need to do? I need to go for JSON.parse. Sir, no. See, whenever you got a JS object, need to show into the HTML. That is okay. And you have a JSON add.
JSON is all needed.
Sir?
JSON keyword
compulsory. JSON keyword is compulsory. JSON.parse.
It is syntax.
Syntax, yes. Predefined syntax. I already told this is a predefined function. This is completely a function. This is completely a function. Okay. Now this is converting to JS array. And whatever the array you have, that array you can bind it to the HTML. This array you can able to bind it to the HTML. Got my point? That's it. So can we do a program for stringify? Then we can go for the program for parse. Both programs I need to work with. Okay, first of all, I go with the program for the stringify. Is this understandable? After writing the theory, after writing this paint and all, this diagram. From the diagram, you can able to learn something. From the diagram, you can able to learn something. Then from the theory also, you can learn something. Now this is also need to save. Okay, just now let me take a program, file, new file. And save it as JS object to JSON object dot HTML. Now let me take a script. Inside the script, first of all, I want to define some JavaScript object. How JavaScript object will be? Where JS object is my variable name. Tell me one JavaScript object. Tell me one JavaScript object. Name, Srini. Name, Srini. This is a key value pair or not? Sir, the session is going to be ending in 1 minute. Please join one more time. Okay. I'm telling to everyone, session is going to be ending in 1 minute. Please join one more time. Name is Srini. This is the key value pair or not? Yes. What is the key here? What is the value here? Yeah. Name is the key. Value is the Srini. Yeah. Key and value separated with colon. Okay. This is JavaScript object. Don't think this is JSON. Is this JSON or JavaScript? Whatever I'm writing. Is this JS or JSON? How you say this is JavaScript? How you say this is JavaScript? How you say this is JavaScript?
It is not converted.
No. It is not 100% JSON. Why? Because of you don't have double quotes for the strings here. The first point you can observe.
Yes, sir.
The first point you can observe, there is no double quotes I am giving for the strings. Am I right? Okay, even though I'm not giving